is a Conservation Commission meeting of Wednesday, December 11th at 7 p.m. And we have at 7 o'clock notice of intent for 169 South Street, which is access road for 4-lot subdivision. This was continued from November 11th.
Hi there.
Hi there.
I'm Susan MacArthur with MacArthur Environmental Consulting. I don't see the applicant on the call. But anyway, I think tonight we were just going to go over the draft order of conditions. Is that correct, Mary?
Yeah, and I can pull that up.
I have it. If you want, I can share my screen. I don't, unless you want to, or whatever. You want me to? Okay.
That'd be great.
Okay.
Hello, everybody.
Hi there.
I got a big light in my background.
All right, here. Okay, let me know when you can see.
We can see it.
Okay, I know it's tiny. Let me just try to make it a little bigger.
That looks good.
You can see that? Okay. Okay, so Mary drafted the special conditions and we kind of went over it and made a few edits, and Mary kind of rebutted some of those or added to them. I don't think these ones are any issue. Well, let's see, hold on. The easement for construction of the trail down by the town will be provided subject to the development of the solar farm. And she questioned that. Is that correct, Mary? You're asking about it?
I think my thought is, say, for example, the solar farm does not ever get developed. Then I think the commission might still want the possibility of developing a trail. That was my only thought on that.
Rick, you want to address that?
Yeah, when this originally came up, Mike had stated that that would be his preference, would be that they had access if the solar farm was developed, and that was the that's what I was going on. If we feel differently now, the solar farm, we're moving forward with that. We have a 160-day clock that just started on the 9th of this month. So it's 160 business days that National Grid has set. So after that, we are moving forward with development. So I hear your point that, sure, is it possible it doesn't get developed? Yes, but it's very likely it is getting developed. So I hope that answers your question.
Personally, I'm okay with how it's written, although I would maybe add one thing: easement for the construction and use of the trail by the town will be provided subject to development and so forth. Is that all right, Annie?
Yes.
Okay, should I move on?
Yes.
Okay. All right, this all looks good. Just scroll to where the next comments are. I mean, unless the commission wants to go through each individual one, but Mary, you tell me, what do you think? Do you want me to slow down? And
I think you can go ahead to the I think my next note is like on condition 47 or 48. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Okay.
And I guess the 48 is basically the same as that first one that we were talking about.
Oh, about the yeah, the
Trails.
four parking spots at the entrance for the future trail access.
Just once the solar is developed, yeah, we'll add that if the board's okay with that. Yep.
Okay. Yep. 47, we just we are okay with shifting the replication area if need be. just to avoid taking some large trees down. I mean, I don't know how much we'll be able to shift it just because of, you know, it's near the roadway and, you know, there are roots to the trees and whatnot. So, you know, but I think we'll be okay where it is. But yes, we're amenable to that. So let's see, the bounds, we had asked about what was the intent of this because with let's see, with the subdivision approval, we are gonna mark the corners of, you know, where the lots are gonna be, but you meant the bounds of the 25 of the locally regulated buffer, is that what you meant?
Yes,
I guess it would be the notice or
the no disturb.
the limited notice or
Like for
for
the
the
vernal
house
pool,
lots.
for the vernal pool, that'll be different than everywhere else. Yeah, so, and I guess my question was that, is I'm okay with not having any bounds on this if every single house lot is gonna get an NOI, but it looked like there might be one that wouldn't. I wasn't sure, it's hard to tell.
I think we had determined that all four house lots will require an NOI.
Okay, that's-
Some might be in riverfront, some might just be in the 100-foot buffer, but there will be some work for each of the lots within jurisdiction. Now, granted, they may not be within the locally regulated buffer, you know, some might just be in the outer 100 feet, but I guess we'll know once we get those developed a little bit further along.
Right, yeah, so I guess my thought in putting that condition is, well, is if there was a house lot that didn't need an order, then we might still want bounds on it. Potentially. But I'm not sure, but it sounds like they're all gonna have an order probably, so then we can scratch that condition if you wanted.
Okay, because
Yeah.
in the other ones, yep. Let's see, we said
And then,
this relates to the other one, the bounds. I
right,
know,
and I can drop that
okay,
for.
yep. And this 54, before the issuance of last CO's certificate of occupancy, the applicant shall contact the Conservation Commission to discuss progress toward gaining a certificate of compliance. Again, that should be probably with the individual lot orders of conditions.
Yeah, I guess sometimes, you know, the subdivision itself is gonna need a certificate of compliance, you know, it's just a discussion, it's not like requiring you to get it. So to me, I would urge you to keep it in just as a point of, oh, yeah, we're done with all the houses, let's talk about, all right, what are the next steps that need to be done to get on the way, but we can drop it if the commission is okay with dropping it. This was just an idea I had, we haven't been doing this on all orders.
uh,
I'm not sure I understand it, but
It's just kind of, it seems like, at least in Upton, and I know in Webster, like, you know, once all the houses have their occupancies, the builder and the road is accepted or whatever, you know, the builder is often gone, you know, and there may or may not be a certificate of compliance, like several of our older projects, they don't have a certificate of compliance on the roadway. So it's not saying you have to get it right away, but it's just a point of discussion, all right, well, just a reminder, oh, you have to get this someday, and you know, what's your progress, and we don't have to do that, it's just an idea.
I think if it makes sense, then you
I
could
think
keep
it's
it.
fine.
Yeah.
I don't,
If there's no objection from. the
Right.
applicant.
I mean, it's not, he won't be required to get the certificate of compliance, it's just a check in and
Yep.
let's see where you are.
Okay. But you do agree with 4 separate NOIs
Yes.
for each individual lot, right?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. Yeah.
Yes.
Let's see. Oh, the invasive species one. So in order to get the certificate of compliance, one of your bullets is 0% coverage by invasive or non-native plant species. And my comment was, this seems unreasonable. Just given the fact that, there's invasive species on the site today. I realize that the replication area is fairly small, but 0% is more onerous than even the DEP's requirement. So I don't know how the commission feels about that, but
Yeah,
What is it?
how would we, what would we allow? The goal is 0%, whether or not we achieve that. Could we state something that just says the goal is 0% and set some other number for the actual, that would be acceptable?
Maybe our goal is 0, but we accept 25%.
Something like that.
It used to have 5%.
5%.
It used to say 5, but
And
I feel like
I had a big problem with 5% because that is enough for the replication area is eventually going to be taken over by invasives. So I actually would prefer 0%. The thing I might change is the non-native.
okay, drop the non.
Non-invasive, non-native. I mean, there's all sorts of non-native plants out there that,
right.
a lot of our flora is non-native. So I would leave that, but I don't think it's unreasonable to say 0% for a small area.
For the invasives.
Well,
For the
could you-
invasives.
I mean, it's kind of like a snapshot in time. It's
Yeah.
not like there will never be invasives in
Right.
there. It's like, when we check you, do we see any
Right.
over the 2 years? And
Yeah.
I think it's a,
Yeah, I think over 2 years, it's reasonable, especially so.
Rick, are you okay with that?
We're just talking about the replication area, right?
We're
Right.
only talking about the replication area, yeah. And
Yeah.
like
I
you
have
said,
I have no problem with that.
yeah, over 2 years, it's definitely achievable, to make sure
Sure.
that it stays invasive free. Okay,
That sounds fine with me.
okay. Let's see.
and then we can scrap 62 since we already talked about that.
Okay, yeah.
I'll put that on the individual orders.
And we were fine with granting access to the Conservation Commission to certify the vernal pool if they so desire.
You got a question?
What's that?
I'm sorry, was that a question for me?
No, that was just stating it. We're just going through the conditions. I was waiting for Mary to write down whatever she was writing. Okay, so you just had this highlighted and
Yeah, that's just for me to fill in. It was just
okay, yeah, the stormwater management plan, or management study is what we called it, did have that as the operation and maintenance plan within it, and that was prepared by Oak Consulting.
yeah, no, thank you for.
Yeah, no problem. And I think that's it. That was everything that we, that we somewhat questioned, or the commission questioned.
We should have a more discussion about this. How about the audience?
Who's ready for a motion?
Well, the audience, right?
Okay, now how about the applicant? Is everything okay?
No, I have no comment.
Okay,
Good.
so could we ask you if you want to close the hearing? I just need a motion that we want to close the hearing.
We would like to close the hearing, yes.
Perfect. And from the commission, we have a motion to close the hearing.
So
So
moved.
moved.
Second,
In a second? Let's
Second.
have a vote. Chris, I.
Tom, I.
Alan, I.
My God.
Marcella, I.
That's a unanimous vote of the commission. So we're all set, and Mary will have paperwork ready for you, and she'll give you a call.
Great, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion to issue the
order of
Order of
conditions
conditions.
as discussed.
your order of conditions as discussed and modified.
Second.
Okay, let's do a voice vote. Chris, I.
Tom, I.
Alan, I.
My God.
Marcella, I.
Okay, that's the unanimous vote of the commission present. So have a nice New Year's and a nice holiday.
Thank you so
You as
much.
well. Thank you
Okay.
all. Have a great night.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Now we have a request for determination of a applicability 35 Samuel Lane. Installation of a single fence and clearing of brush continued from November 11th.
Oh, I do not see them here.
We're here.
Oh, oh, great.
Hi.
Great to have you in person. Great.
Timing.
Excellent. So I will, let's see if I can pull up the revised plans. And you guys should get to know each other, your kind neighbors.
We do have a job. It's the job.
You guys want to help?
No.
No,
They're on,
Cider
they're on
Mill.
Elm, they're on Cider Mill, so kind of close.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I was like, uh-oh, what's wrong with our dog?
You have like the 300-year-old house?
No.
no, house was built in 75.
They're on near the power lines. Is the power line or the gas line?
It's the power lines, yeah.
Okay,
That looks like the updated one.
oh, it is the updated one.
Yeah.
Okay, yep, there we go. All right, so I think after the last meeting, the thing that was missing, commission had asked for a management plan for the manure and animals. And so he came up with this, showing a compost area here, which is near the barn and far away from this wetland, and there is, which is a wetland over here on this side as well. So it's far away from both wetlands. And then we talked about the swale in back.
Yeah.
And he describes the swale as about 3 feet wide, 1 foot deep, going all along the rear. And the fence posts were, to be put in concrete, not that we have to, but.
Right.
Can we comment on that? What kind of posts are you gonna use?
It's just gonna be pressure treated.
Just Google this, but there's a lot of recommendations that not to use concrete as opposed to a rock quicker.
Yeah, they have like post sleeves. So you put the post in the sleeve in the concrete.
You can do whatever you want. but-
Yeah,
but,
I got you.
But, there is, maybe the sleeves, I don't know about the sleeves, but. I think a lot of recommendations obviously don't use concrete.
Sure.
Because they're rock, but basically the water pools around the top of the concrete. And that will accelerate the composition.
Sure.
Also, it's a lot more work.
Yeah, yeah.
Do you want to use you just make it sturdier to make sure the animals don't.
Yeah, I mean, I have a backhoe, so it'd be pretty easy to make piecework of it.
Okay.
I'd rather just make a very sturdy fence, and if some areas I wanna maybe just not do concrete and just put most of the ground, that could work too.
It was just a general
Yeah, no, thanks for your
question. And when we do posts, we did a few with concrete and got a little research.
Hmm.
We need concrete, we don't use concrete.
Oh, yeah. I got you. I'll look into that though. Yes.
Just dirt or snow.
Yeah, ideally something that's got some drainage around the post is ideal. This water is not your friend.
So Mary, do you have any additional comments?
In my opinion, they've satisfied the commission's requests.
Okay. Any questions or comments from the commission? How about from the applicant? And how about the audience? Hearing none. I'm going to ask the applicant, would you like to close this request for determination hearing?
Yes.
Okay, for the question, let's vote. Chris? Make a motion? And what wants to second that?
Second.
Okay, let's do a voice vote. Chris, aye.
I.
Alan, I.
Marcella, I.
Okay, so we have a unanimous vote of the commission to close the request for determination, and Mary will issue the details. Mary, do you have one written up already?
No. I don't, yeah, I think I don't think there'd be too many special conditions except for inspection before and after. So. Yeah, so I will work it up, and the commission, well, we'll have to work on signatures, but get probably with next week, we'll be able to come pick it up with you.
Thank you. Do you need anything in there about manure maintenance?
I think the manure is pretty far away. I mean, I guess we could limit the size of the pile. Or I don't know if we want to do that or not, but
It's completely out of the way.
I think it's fine.
No. For the
Yeah,
applicant,
The size of pile limited by the
Size
size of
of the-
pasture,
yeah.
which limits its number down.
for the applicant, did you guys talk to the Board of Health?
So we did when we bought the house, Laura Heath, she was our realtor that we bought the house from, so we already talked to her about it, we didn't get any like official inspection by her, but she's aware of the situation, we've talked to her. I don't think it'll be an issue when I bring it back up to her. That's kind of where we started, this whole thing was with her anyways. So, if you guys would like, we can reach back up, you know. I figured that's kind of the end, when everything's built, she inspects it to be suitable for animals beforehand, I think.
Right, I think the animal control.
Yeah, I don't, anyway, that's not us.
Yeah.
The bottom line is, it isn't us. This is us,
Yeah.
and good for you.
So with that said, you have fulfilled the commitment of the commission. So Mary will write the determination and then she'll call you when it's done. So thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good evening.
Thanks, you too.
Okay, thank you. And now we have 6 minutes. So anything we can fill in for 6 minutes?
Yeah, probably one a speech will take more than 6 minutes.
Oh, okay. Well, I just want to mention that we got an email from Joe that said on Tuesday, December 3rd, the second select board voted to open the May 1st warrant on Wednesday, December 4th, and that the warrant will be closing on Friday, January 25th at noon. So I don't know if we have anything that would go on that warrant.
I guess potentially, I was talking with Denise about our stormwater regs that got passed at town meeting in May. And they are everything's fully installed now. The AG approved it whenever, so everything's actually in effect. I haven't actually been paying attention to it. But everything's in effect. I don't know whether we'll have time to look through that. I guess that's a potential thing. That we would have a month, right? January 25th.
So we look at the reading through it or what? Okay.
I mean, do the regs have to go to town meeting? Is that what-
Oh, I guess the Rays wouldn't have to get a
Yeah,
meeting,
yeah.
so we would have nothing. Yeah.
Okay. So we-
Yay. That's good.
Do we usually have the items that have designated funds?
Yeah, so far Joe has, every year he like takes the warrant from last year and copies our annual article, but I'll ask him to make sure that that's on there.
Okay,
Is
perfect.
this the conservation?
Yes.
Yes. Great. Chris, I have one short thing that we can look at.
Okay,
Report. Tom had me go out to 140 Warren. Sure. And we had done some clearing.
Yeah, in the back mostly.
It's mostly back. Yes, I didn't want to trespass.
Yeah, and I didn't know, I just wanted to, I don't know if they were aware of it. That's.
Right, and when I did the certificate of compliance sidewalk, it was with a new owner, and he showed me where all the bounds were. And he had a ton of blackberries, literally a ton of the brambles. He was like, "Let me grab some of these." So I think that's what, and I feel like there was some bittersweet.
There's something that's bittersweet.
Yeah, interspersed with it.
Yeah, I don't have.
Clear beyond the bottom, is that what?
I think he did go a little bit beyond bounds, I think, but it was.
He did go beyond.
So
I
I
just
mean,
didn't know if he understood. but
yeah, I mean, we could
it's
just
not
write
the
him a
end of the
letter,
book. Yeah,
5 feet or 20 feet or?
it's gotta be 20 anyway.
20 maybe.
Yeah, at least in the back. I didn't walk in there. I just happened to walk by and
Yeah,
you can see the bounds and you can see, go ahead.
and before the bounds were completely covered.
Right, you could never see them. So now you can see the bounds plus, so that's all. I just, again, I don't think it's a huge deal. I just didn't know if they knew, that's all. And if they know, I think if we just send a letter and just say,
Those are the letters. And then chances are those blackberries. They'll grow. I might sell this, so.
right, and the blackberries are actually good. I love the blackberries that come in my yard.
Yeah,
But, yeah, that's all. Just a letter. It doesn't have to be crazy, just reminding about the bound.
yeah,
And again, I don't care if they take out invasives and all that stuff, but we should probably know if they are, that's all.
right, just, just remember to contact the commissioner.
Yeah,
That's a
that's
good
all.
thought, cause like all those blackberries, I mean, if
Right,
you really didn't want them there.
right, yeah, and so I don't have a problem with that, I just, but we have so many people that we got, we have some issues with people, right?
Yeah.
So it just needs, I just want to address it.
Great. Yep.
okay, so it seems that we're at 7:30 for a request for determination for 75 Elm Street, which was continued from November 11th, filling in backyard removal of 20 white pine trees.
All right. And this is our applicant for 75 Elm. And we talked a bit about this last time. This area here is the area that was kind of in question, is it wetland, is it not wetland? It has a lot of skunk cabbage, soils are kind of mixed, it's very low. And this is the area that originally you would want it to fill, right?
Do you want context?
Go ahead.
Yeah, just looking to, so got have kids, you know, it's a big piece of property for me to take care of. As you can see, the house is sort of on a hill. There's a deep hill that follows the house that goes into this area. We just kind of want to level it out a little bit so we have some safer playing grounds. There's a lot of widow makers in this area, you know, when anybody get hurt, I'm a very active child, and it would just make life a lot easier just from main state. Fill this big question.
And you said you talked to a wetland scientist?
I did, I shared the report, I talked to a wetland scientist, David Burke. And he said that he's open to take a look at it and just confirm whether, if it's officially a wetland. I think it's isolated based on your visit, right? Or
Potentially isolated potential connectivity.
When was the house constructed? Is the bylaw?
This is an 1850.
Yeah, it's.
I guess the bylaw doesn't apply.
Yeah.
Just missed.
Just missed.
Well,
And you're good.
yeah, I mean, I talked with Burke about sort of this 1,500 square feet of flow water, so I'm not 100% sure. The pond is man-made to the left-hand side. Yeah.
Oh, right, and here's
Yeah,
a
the
nice,
pond was expanded.
here's a nice picture of the property. Here's the pond.
Yeah,
Here's the area under question, which is below the level of the pond. And
yeah,
there may be some seepage from
the pond.
the pond, giving it its wetland attributes actually. And then there's I think we looked at visions, kind of a high, like maybe what used to be a road. And on the other side is the stream. So it's very kind of, you know, over here, this is wetland over here. So there's wetland kind of all around the area.
I would like to see what the wetland scientist has to say.
Okay,
I would like to see that. Yeah, I'm not opposed to you doing stuff for your kids, but. You know, struggle with filling a wetland.
yeah, no, I mean, yeah, if it's indeed a wetland. But it is in question, there's
Yeah.
some skunk cabbage as you observed, there's. Some areas that doesn't have the soils, and so he said he would need to come take a look.
I'm good with that. I don't know if anyone else is, but. I mean,
Yeah, no, that's, so, will we get a report from the
Yeah.
wetland scientist?
Yeah,
Yeah, and so
Well-
I guess the question is this gonna ramp up to an NOI is kind of the
Or a
question.
request for
It
resource.
is a request, or an ANRAD, yeah. Yeah, so that's the, I mean,
So I guess
well,
we
you
already got a
can
request.
approve a wetland line under an RDA if it's small.
Okay.
So we can do that. We can keep it under the RDA level. I think if he comes up with anyway, we can keep it under the RDA level for now.
So.
It's-
Submit a plan and then, depending on what the plans, what report, given the report says, I suggest that this wetland scientist you hire and marry. Go out and review the scientist's opinion.
Right, and it
So-
doesn't, you're not looking at engineered plan, you're just looking for the wetland scientist report, right? And
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
like-
And if there's any place you can tie.
Yeah,
so
So
whatever.
I would think that we would continue this because when Mary and the wetland scientists look at it and they deem it a wetland, it has to be a positive determination. So it can then become a notice intent.
great.
Does anyone on the question have any questions? Or questions from the applicant?
I have a question, do you want, I mean, we could go ahead and approve the trees,
Yeah.
Separately.
Trees, yeah.
yes.
what trees are we approving?
A
The
lot
widow
of
makers
trees.
or?
It
what?
was, if you remember, it was, you wanted pretty much like all these white pines, I think we figure about 20, right?
Yeah, there's a branch
Um,
right there on the right side that's just hanging.
All
that
along
fell.
the,
Yeah,
I just see another picture of the white pines.
I wanna
they'll
keep
look
everything
like
in the periphery of the yard, but within the yard in terms of where kids are gonna play.
And so basically, it's this whole line of white pines on either side, right?
Yeah.
If you wanted to remove, like, and just the white pines. Well, if you clear out the wetland, you were gonna clear that.
Mhm. Yeah, I'd like to have a backyard that is free and open for my kids to play with without having the concern that a branch is gonna.
Right. And this, so kind of, you have the pond there, it would kind of like square off your backyard and have access to the pond and have on both sides.
Yeah, and we'd love to
Yeah.
have the pond on the left, the pond on the left is visible. There's another secondary pond, just it's also visible. It's not visible because of the pines, but we'd like to have it a little more open and visible as well.
Right, on the intermediate.
Right,
Yeah.
that the trees are covering, and these are pines. There was grass that's originally grown over there, but it's turned to moss and they're difficult to deal with.
Would you
There's a
kind
pond.
of, would you cut the pines at the base or remove the roots also?
Probably a little bit of both, depending upon the tree and the position of the tree. Pines could potentially be used as fill or.
Shipping them, is that what you're doing?
I'd probably save some for just burning it outdoors, and then we could use some for fill to let them up.
Use the pines for fill.
Yeah, if this gets approved, we can put some pines just to level it out and put some dirt over.
I would think if you're disturbing the soil,
Raw.
Yeah.
Typically,
So probably.
So if I put dirt on top of pines, that dirt's gonna sink.
Well, if there's no oxygen, the tree will be fine, but if it gets oxygen, water and stuff, they'll rot. And then it just rots, I mean, then everything drops and your yard's got holes.
Okay.
I mean, I'm not saying do it,
Yeah,
whatever the town allows. But that's up to you.
I think when they're near the wetland area, you'd have to have erosion control.
Right,
Let's just, so we know if it's a well or not, let's just table this part. of it.
the trees, yeah, that's.
But the trees, I guess we could,
I would say if you want to do the trees, we can improve them. I would say no, and
No
leave the
to the-
stumps, leave the stumps. It would be my opinion.
oh, leave the stumps.
If you want to pull the stumps, then that's a little bit more involved because it's right next to the wetland.
Yeah.
Got it, no, and that makes sense, and
Yeah.
truthfully, I would probably wouldn't, I probably intending on leaving those,
Yeah.
because that makes sense, because it's structural.
Yeah,
It's
they're
down.
holding the bank.
Yeah,
I think.
yeah, those, yeah, that makes sense, but there's other trees in the other area that are not fine. That makes sense.
Now, do a motion from the commission to approve removal of the trees without disturbing the soil. That would mean cutting them at the base.
for a second.
Wait a second, let's do a voice vote. Chris, aye.
Hold on.
Alan, I.
Wait, I'll second. Okay. Voice vote.
Okay, Chris, aye.
Aye.
Alan, I.
Marcella, nay.
Okay, it's a majority vote of the commission to allow the trees to be cut at the base. And then the,
Just, well, I think we'll designate that you'll mark them ahead, so we agree on which ones are going.
Okay.
Cause I think there's a lot of smaller stuff on the banks that we should probably keep. I mean, obviously those big white pines, I can see. There's a lot of smaller trees that I want to keep.
okay, and then the request for determination will be continued until Mary and the wetland scientist come up with the site. So, what time, Mary?
Should we say 7 o'clock, the 8th, right?
Yep, 8th of January.
Just get your scientists out there soon for the ground trees.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because,
Because then we won't be able to do
yeah,
anything.
we won't be able to make a determination if the ground is frozen, because
Until spring.
the delineation is will be based on both the vegetation and characteristics of the soil.
Okay, yeah, I'll do my best. I'm going on vacation. I'll call them.
Right, yeah, and obviously if there's, I feel like last winter I was able to get out almost every month and do some, but yeah, it is a good idea to be aware of that.
Last, we didn't get much of a freeze.
No, we didn't get much of freeze last winter. Yeah,
We have a motion from the commission to continue this hearing until January 8th at 7 o'clock.
So,
Do a second.
Second,
Okay. I'll vote though, Chris, I.
Alan, I.
Marcella, I.
Okay, this is an answer of the question. So this is January 8th at 7 o'clock. Okay, thank you. So you got your homework. Okay, Mary, do you have anything to fill in for 4 minutes?
minutes. I'll just say we had a call from someone on Shore Drive. And they were concerned that the water levels in the pond, Taft Pond, were dropping even more than he thought they should with the drought. And he was wondering if there was beaver activity upstream, and then wondering if the town was gonna do anything about it. And I told him he maybe needed to get permission from his, I think it's all private property, to get permission from his neighbors to go take a look, and I don't think there's much the town can do.
And Taft Pond's pretty large. I would doubt that a beaver impoundment could really.
yeah,
It's probably just. the
water
ground,
still comes
yes.
through, they don't shut the stream off. Water is still coming through and they'd have to back that up for a
It
long,
would
long
have to be a
place.
huge beaver impoundment to have any effect on.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, if he wants to look, you can look.
it's one of the driest years in the last century.
Yeah.
Or
Was it
driest,
really?
driest.
Till today.
It's fall, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, and then another quick note at somebody, Peter Albee wanted to do, and I don't know whether we should follow through with this, the 2.15 acre lot on Chestnut Street, basically an unbuildable house lot that he doesn't want anymore.
Is it, we have stuff, don't we have like a trail and stuff up there?
Well, actually, I looked on your map, and it actually isn't near, it's on the other side of the street from.
Yep.
From.
It's on the solar panel side?
Yeah, it's on the select side.
But the interesting thing is there's a very large parcel of undeveloped land that it butts.
Right.
So this parcel could someday be accessed.
Yeah.
So I'd encourage,
Yeah,
town or open, Bill's not on, is he?
He's on,
Oh, he is.
you tell him to talk.
Oh, sorry.
I'm here.
Hey, Bill.
Okay,
So we were talking about that lot on Chestnut, and I took a look on Near Map, and there's a very large parcel of undeveloped land that it abuts. And this 2 acre parcel would provide access to that larger parcel.
is it near the tracks or near 140?
It's nearer to the tracks.
Okay.
Not-
Yeah, it's actually relatively close to the intersection with South Street, right?
Yeah,
It's like on that corner. I
yeah, it's
feel
not
like
too
it's a
far.
corner.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm drawing a blank on the owners of the large parcel, but they own other land in Upton as well. Donato, that's it. Yeah, so if he wants to donate it, and the Conservation Commission wants to take it, then I believe we have to get the selectmen to accept the donation.
So he needs like to give us a formal letter or something. Probably.
Yeah, the selectmen, though, not us, right?
No, if we can do it unilaterally if we're buying it, but we can't unilaterally accept a gift.
Right, right, so it has to go to the selectmen, right?
Right, that's right.
And then,
They
and they come to us and ask us what we think.
Of course, yep.
You know, ideally the deed would, you know, if it gets that far, we'll put it under the care and custody control commission. That's what we'd be looking.
Okay.
Can we buy it for like $1 and not have to go through the
The
process?
deed would say something like that.
Yeah,
cons-
I suspect that that sounds like it's okay, but I don't expect there'd be any issue with the selectmen, so.
Alright.
I mean, the selectmen would be accepting it on behalf of the Conservation Commission, as long as
Sure.
the donor indicates that he's donating it for conservation purposes.
So he should write a letter just saying the property and that he wants to donate to conservation versus and give it to the selectmen, and that starts the process, right?
Yep.
And would there be a CR?
Yeah, If the-
There could be.
And
Not
who would
there
hold
could, but,
Not necessarily.
but if the deed clearly says, you know, the parcel is placed under the care custody control commission, that gives it Article 97 protection, which
Okay,
it's good as a CR, or better maybe, I don't know. But I given how much trouble CR is, I don't think I would recommend it here, as long as the deed, you know, placed in the care custody control commission.
Okay, any other details about that, Mary?
I think that's it. I have his contact information and I'll get in touch with him.
Thank you. Is at 7:45, we request for determination of applicability 49 Mendon Street, pool of in-room swimming pool. And Mary, do you have the public notice to read?
Oh, yes. Notice is hereby given in accordance with the Wetlands Protection Act that the Upton Conservation Commission hold the following public hearing on Wednesday, December 11th, 2024 at 7:45 p.m. The RDA filed by Bob Perkins for the removal of an in-ground pool at 49 Mendon Street. And Peter Lavoy, I believe, is here representing the applicant.
Yes, I am. Good evening.
Thank you, Mary. So Peter, can you explain to
Can I share the screen?
I think you should be able to, yeah.
Okay. One second. Oh, wrong way. Okay, so for the record, my name's Peter Lavoy. I work with D&L Design Group. I'm here tonight representing the homeowner at 49 Mendon Street. Mendon Street runs along the bottom of the screen. So we filed an RDA to remove the concrete apron and the in-ground swimming pool in the backyard. So what we did is we're proposing wattles. There is an existing chain link fence that runs along the back, and then it stops right at the house up here. So we want to put wattles along in red along the chain link fence, and then up towards Mendon Street. You can see the proposed access for the equipment would, so they can remove the concrete apron. So all access will be in this location here on the left of the house. Mary had a concern about pumping the water out of the pool. So I show a little circle where the deep end where the pump would be. And then I show where the hose would come up along the access and pump into this little discharge area up along the side in the front yard. No vegetation will have to be cut. All the work is being done, all the access and the erosion control in that water area is in the front lawn. We kept it far away from the wetlands. The closest point where the chain link fence to the wetland is roughly 60 feet. I took the wetland line off of Mass GIS, and that's basically it. They just want to remove the pool and the concrete apron and have grass area in the backyard.
Would Phil be brought in to fill up the spot where the pool was?
It'll be clean fill. Glenn Barrows is doing the work. So it would be clean fill. We would propose clean fill, and then he would have to loom and seed where the concrete apron is as well as where the pool was.
Thank you. Do you have any questions from the commission? Or from Mary?
Do you need erosion control? I have a garage full of it. How many feet of?
I don't know how many feet. It's probably 100 and probably 50 feet, maybe.
Bill, we have that much, right?
We sure do.
I'll let Glenn know.
Okay.
Glenn has seen some of that erosion control before.
Actually, Marcella, I think the guy at 10 Old Grafton Road is very interested in it too, but he hasn't called you.
He hasn't, but I think we have enough for both projects.
Hey, Peter, just so you know, the commission bought this erosion control for a project that we constructed. And now it's not needed anymore. But the thing you should know is it's a straw wattles without poly netting.
Okay.
So in this case, they're probably gonna want to remove it anyway. But if this was an area where you didn't necessarily have to remove the wattles, they could just decompose in place because there's no poly netting.
Okay.
Something the commission.
I'll let Glenn know. I'll tell Glenn to call Glenn Barrows to call Mary and get the information. Maybe, that'll help him out.
Yeah, some of it is stuff the Conservation Commission purchased, and some of it is stuff that we purchased for a project on our property, and it never rained, so it's dry and still usable. So
okay.
Anyway, yeah.
If we donate the materials from the commission? Mary, that's a question I have for you.
Oh, is it okay?
Yep. Is there any problem with us doing them?
As long as it's information, I think that's fine.
Yeah, it's already been repurposed once for the project at our place. The lengths that were used on town property, and it's ready to be used a third time.
Okay.
Okay.
Does anyone else have questions from the audience? And Mary, do you have enough things for us to propose closing the hearing? Or do you need to wait?
I think we're all set on this one.
Okay, so Peter, would you guys like to close the hearing?
Yes, we would.
Okay, do we have a motion from the commission to close the hearing?
So moved.
A second?
Second.
Okay, let's do a voice vote. Chris, aye.
Aye.
Alan, I.
Micah.
Marcella, aye.
That's a unanimous vote of the commission, and Mary will give you the determination and give you a call when it's ready.
Okay. Thank you.
It's a nice easy one. Okay. Thank you, Peter.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Now, we have a little bit more time, Mary.
Yeah, and we actually have here someone from 22 Elm, right?
Yeah.
And I think maybe we can bring him in this time period.
Okay.
if people remember, he lives next to the Heritage Park, right near the cave. And we had written a letter because of some work back near the wetland, and he very kindly stopped right away, and we looked at it and didn't see that there needed to be a lot of restoration. The commission had recommended bounds. And I can try to pull up the pictures, and he would like to request no bounds, right?
Well, I would like to request not putting concrete bounds in. I don't mind hanging, a tag or a sign on trees. She came out and looked at it. We have 4 large trees outside the battery zone. I just don't wanna have to pay for concrete posts to go into the backyard, especially when, it was on accident. I didn't know there was a buffer zone there. And I stopped immediately, everything's growing back now. And I have no problem putting a sign or something, but I think a concrete post is a little bit of a overkill.
Well, our concern generally is, like, if you were to move, like, cause you moved in and you didn't realize. Right, if there were bounds there, you would have realized you couldn't remove that vegetation. That's one of the reasons for it. Now, I'm open to an alternative.
Yeah.
But, I'd like to hear what Mary said. I'm not sure I'm big on putting them on trees, but I'm not. I'll defer to Mary what she has to say.
Okay.
I was trying to share my screen so you guys could see some pictures.
That was the first picture.
Yeah, this is when the work was just done. And this is more recently.
That was all, the trash and stuff that was all there, it was all scattered.
Yeah.
Stuff.
No,
Yeah,
I just, the bounds do serve an important purpose. And I'm open to alternatives.
it was these, the pictures of the trees, I don't seem to have.
It's those trees
It
right
was
there.
those two trees, right?
Yeah,
So you were thinking maybe a sign on the tree or just.
yeah, like a sign with a chain on the tree or something to hold the sign up or screw it to the tree, or if you wanna put something more permanent, like a pin, like a piece of rebar, like a fence post that I can pound in.
What are the things we used in that development? Don't work those different. Some kind of different homes or something, or flexible or something like that.
The markers, the Berenstein markers.
Berenstein,
Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, does that make sense? I'm not familiar with them. I know
What
we-
about boulders with, a medallion or, something attached to it?
Me and Mary kind of looked at that, and I really don't have anything big enough, everything I can pick. Walk around. That kind of defeats the purpose of what you're trying to
You're
do.
right, you're absolutely
Okay.
right. Yeah, because I thought of that too. There's, rocks and underneath too. but-
Which there is a lot of ledge there, if you look up to the right of that photo, it's all rock. My neighbor told me it used to be they used to make the wheels that made wheat, to grind wheat there back in the day. It used to be a big quarry there.
So what, Mary, what are your thoughts on using putting the medallion on the tree using aluminum nails or something? Does that make sense? Is that?
Oh, to put it on the tree?
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, after. I mean, trees have.
I'd like for it to be something a little more permanent. Using rebar or something might be a good solution.
We
Something
could-
gonna decompose.
A Bernstein marker, I believe you can get like a W on the cap. I mean, if you could Google that, you might even be able to call it up right now. And then there's a cost associated with them, but they're a lot easier to install a concrete post.
Is that, I'm sorry, my ears are clogged, I'm trying to.
Oh, I'm sorry, there's a survey marker that we sometimes use called a Bernstein marker. Mary is something kind of fine. They're basically aluminum. They can be installed much easier than the concrete post. And then I believe you get a cap with like a W on it or something that might top, yeah.
Okay.
See if we get Mary.
there's still a cost associated.
Yeah, they're probably gonna be.
You know how much they are?
We're gonna find, maybe we'll find out.
Yeah.
I'm thinking they might be, I don't wanna say for sure, but
So
it
this
might be in the
is
$60 range. something like that.
pins. This is just the pin.
It's a little cheaper than the concrete post.
And easy, and easier to install.
Yeah, it's easier, the concrete post be kind of hard to get down there.
Yeah.
Survey markers, this is what we should look under.
Survey monuments.
So survey monuments, I think.
That's
The pipeline unit.
yeah, pipe monument. Yeah.
$95 a piece. Well, we just, we're thinking two, right?
I don't
I don't know, maybe what do you think?
That was the original thing, was two posts.
Two.
Okay. Yeah, so it'd be 2 posts and probably the cap, right?
And you can leave it like, 6 inches off the ground. You
You just bury it 6 inches in the grass?
know, I'll leave the top about 6 inches exposed.
Oh, and bury the rest.
to get rid of this.
Okay,
Something
yeah,
like that.
I like that plan much better than the concrete posts,
Oh, okay,
so.
I'm comfortable with that.
Look at that. I didn't know they existed. Drive-in monuments, wetland. Did you see that?
Where's that?
Yeah, it's the arrow.
That looks like just,
Oh, this one.
yeah, I didn't know they existed.
So with the Bernston things, there'll be a cap with the W on top, is that what we're asking for?
Build custom, I think there you go.
Wetland monuments. Says Forest Service.
But you can probably get it.
Yeah, I think you can get them with different,
Interesting. Learn something. I wonder how much they are.
yeah.
I bet they're cheaper than the other monuments.
Some price.
You know, if you want to research it and have an alternative, we'll
This
listen to
one,
it.
info.
Run by Mary, we're not
The
telling you,
price.
you have to.
So,
You have to have something.
price.
Okay, yeah, I'm not, like I said, I'm not against something put in, the concrete posts really, I thought was very excessive,
Sure.
especially when I looked up and they're $100 a piece.
Yeah.
And then I gotta lug the thing all the way down the hill.
These will be about the same
These
cost.
would be the
but
same
A
price,
lot
but they
easier
won't be
to
the
deal
same.
with.
Yeah.
Can Mary send you the link to this webpage?
She can,
She
she has
has,
my email.
she has your email. Okay,
Yeah.
Do, okay.
Perfect.
No, what are the two posts, this is what you're looking for, the wetland amount,
Well, it certainly looks,
Well, you.
this one looks
You
like
make-
you can just pound it in.
yeah,
Yeah.
you make your decision, but it looks interesting to
You can
me.
dig a hole.
Yeah. No, it seems like.
And then Mary, would you like to come out and show me exactly where you want the two bounds to go?
Sure.
Okay,
And we can even, I wonder if you could even paste our little square thing on top of that glue, maybe,
Possibly.
and then
Or
Screw, screw.
box it on.
Yeah,
Cause we have markers that go on the post, they're 4 by 4 inches. So it might stick out a little bit, but
Well, I wonder if they have the option of getting like a W or something. On the
yeah, it
cap.
seemed there were options when you were looking at the cap.
yeah,
Yeah.
anyway, look for one with a W.
Or you could probably just go into. Search or something. Cool, that one.
Great, good, so I think the commission should probably vote on use of the Bernstein markers instead of the concrete.
So moved.
Second,
Let's do, voice vote, Chris, I,
I.
Micah,
Marcella, I.
did Alan vote?
No. He may be away from his computer.
Majority of the Conservation Mission voted to approve the Bernstein markers as Mary just detailed.
You get him, just. Talk to Mary.
yeah, contact Mary and we'll set up a time for you to come out, show me you guys want them, and that's it. I appreciate the time, and you guys have a good evening.
You too, have a fun night.
Thank you.
You. Okay, now we have
Sorry.
notice of intent for 236 Milford Street, expanding a parking lot. And Mary, do you have the official posting?
Great. Notice is hereby given in accordance with the Wetlands Protection Act that the Upton Conservation Commission will hold the following public hearing on Wednesday, December 11th, 2024 at 8 p.m. A notice of intent filed by Michelle Crenshaw for the expansion of a parking lot at 236 Milford Street. And we have Liz here.
And Mary, did you get the green cards?
I already dropped them off.
He gave me his card. We have Mr. McKinnon here from.
Yes, I'm Dale McKinnon from Garrett and Holman. Or you can tell me the secretary wasn't there. That's what I found. Are these any good, or is it gonna be all these? Because we only have 2 of those.
We only have 2 of those. Well,
I guess.
so yeah, they just haven't come back in.
Right. Okay.
Well, yeah,
Should I hold on to these?
you want to keep it until.
Okay, till we get them.
Leave them all.
Okay. Thank you.
That'll be the reminder if you want to come.
Okay. Mary, I sent you an email tonight. That is a colored plan.
Oh, the PDF, okay.
Can you put that up? Where's the best place to present?
Well, yeah, if it's on the screen, you may
Yeah,
not,
on the screen.
you may not need to mess with that.
Okay.
Before you guys get going, did you guys get the DEP number?
No.
No.
So obviously it'll be continued. Yeah. We'll be seeing you again. Yes.
Next year.
Did you get it?
There it is.
There it is. I can explain it, what we're looking at. The blue is obviously the building for the Hopedale Cardiology. And the darker gray are 2 existing parking lots. Basically the clients all come in on this left side and the employees stay on the right. And apparently they don't have enough parking for the facility. So what this light gray is a new parking lot added. What we've got is a construction entrance that would be built originally before they start. We've got erosion control on this right side of the site. I don't know if any of you are here in 215, but back in 215, there used to be a pipe that went out to the wetlands that had to be removed. And these 2 sediment basins were constructed back then. And what we're going to do is take advantage of this existing 8-inch pipe that's here. And we're taking the water in 2 catch basins off of this proposed parking lot, putting it into a underground detention basin, and then allowing that 8-inch pipe to carry the water over there. There's also a existing 4-inch pipe that crosses. We're going to intercept that and bring that into that detention basin. The green areas that you see are existing pavement that we're going to remove. The intent is that we're taking care of all the stormwater up to about to the middle of this point here, and then the rest of this existing will flow down. So we wanted to have some water quality for this proposed area that we couldn't get at, similar to what was used before with this existing parking lot. It had a Cape Cod berm along that east side of the parking lot, and it had 2 outlets where the water, excuse me, would outlet and flow to these, to this basin here, the lower one. And the pipe would go to that larger upper basin. So we're taking advantage of that. We're putting in the proposed grass area and to provide some water quality after that runoff. Essentially, it's coming down. We're in the high side on the west side, and everything drops to the east side. You can see the two wetlands that are out off site, and you can see the two boundaries from those two wetlands that through that based on that blue line. So some portion of it, or a major portion, was outside the boundary, but we're doing work in both buffer areas of the two wetlands. Stormwater wise, the catch basins go through isolator roads in that detention basin, and that takes care of the water quality. And then the flow will go out to those existing outfall, and the runoff from this existing parking lot and this small flow area below the catch basins will be overland flow and captured in this grassed area and flow out to that sediment basin. That's the submission, and open for questions.
I have a question about the water quality thing. I'm not really familiar with it. So
Sure.
in a parking lot, you've got grease and oil and gas.
Right.
So when that runs off, what happens to it?
Okay, it's captured first of all in the catch basins. You get 25% TSS removal for that portion. And then we put it through, this is a underground infiltration detention chamber. And we have what's called an isolator row. You take that row, we have one on each side, each catch basin goes to that. And what that does is that holds all of the, through a filter fabric, and cannot escape other than through that fabric prior to it going out through the stone and across to the other two manholes on this end have, when it reaches 2 feet in that structure, it overflows and then can freely go to the other 3 units that are there. But the purpose of the first 2 rows is to take care of the water quality.
Okay, and that is in perpetuity?
Yes. And those have to be, it's a standard that's used when we use these chamber type systems.
Will you be submitting a O&M plan that will be
Yes, I think it was part of the submittal. And of course, the drainage calculations, I guess through you, got to be reviewed, correct?
They're getting reviewed through planning board.
Oh, they are, okay,
Yes, planning
I
board.
thought it was through you, all right.
Yeah, so, yep.
Okay. We have to, use the same engineer, basically, just rely on everything.
Stantec, is that?
Yes, Stantec.
We're through Stantec, yeah.
Right.
Stantec Street.
Any questions about this?
So, and I just, did you add erosion controls to the plans?
Yeah, I colored them, but yes, they're on
Okay,
this
so it's,
plan.
this is an updated plan.
Right.
Okay. And then, yeah, I had a few comments on the O&M plan.
Okay.
Minor,
Okay,
because there's an old O&M plan for that 2015 order. And just some of the, like the existing basins are not in good shape. They're full of, knotweed. So I think it's part of the project, upgrading the existing
Okay, sure.
basins and getting out the Japanese knotweed. And then, there's no snow storage signs all along the eastern parking lot. I was wondering if we needed to put them all in the western parking lot too. I don't know. There's wetlands on both sides.
So we're done.
on the new one, we're providing
Yeah,
snow
the
storage.
snow
on
in
both
the
sides.
center.
Yeah,
Yeah, and I guess the only other thing with this is the wetland delineation must be very old, right?
yes,
They took the
back to that 250.
They took the delineation from the 2015,
I thought it was far enough off-site that it wouldn't be much of a change.
yeah, I mean, I did look at the wetlands and it is, slightly. Like I found some wetland soils down here, but it's not like any closer than what's there. And the upstream wetland, potentially does come closer to the parking lot. But this wetland is very, very difficult, I would say. It may have even dried out since, since the filing, the 2008 filing from the
Is the storage?
storage
facility
units. The
there?
storage units did a filing in 2008. I think maybe just for their construction or maybe for expanding, I don't know. But they did a filing. There's some bounds back there, but the wetland is not clear on the side, for sure. But there is no expansion beyond the existing.
Right, so that's what I'm thinking, doing it all up front, which seems fine, I know that location. At one point, our church was in.
Oh, really?
We met on Sundays at the doctor, dentist office. So I'm familiar with that front piece. I think it's fine. It's right along 140.
What kind of erosion control are you proposing to use?
Well, I heard you talking about the mulch earlier, but I prefer the silt sack, but we have some areas that are gonna have to go across the pavement areas, and in those areas, that's where we would use mulch. But in the areas where we can put a stake in, we prefer to use the silt fence.
Silt fence.
Right.
Yes.
What kind of slopes do you have there?
The steepest slope is going, it's fairly flat.
Actually, right around where the erosion control is.
Oh, right in here,
Yeah.
it's very flat there.
Yeah.
And there's kind of, there's an embankment that goes down, I think a little bit.
Right, in where these sediment basins were made, those are like 3-to-1 slopes in there.
So you'd want to be, wattles wouldn't be adequate.
If the commission would prefer them,
I don't have a preference on it. Silt fences work.
Yeah, they're more intrusive.
and you have to take them out, whereas like you said,
Well,
the mulch stalks can remain, and
right.
but they're also expensive, and that's why the contractors don't like to buy them, so. Pay me now or pay me later, you know, I think I think they're an improvement, but they don't wanna pay the money up front.
I think having the erosion control fencing is more visible from 140.
The erosion control fencing works. Well, I mean, I understand it can be a barrier of sorts. I'm not sure.
You have to be careful with the stormwater in that it can hold up behind that, and so we have to have some areas in that would provide, I think we would use these two natural outlets that are there now to have a break there to allow that flow, and we would grade it so that we could use that in the grass areas for that purpose. We could put the mulch sock or straw bales in that particular location.
Do you have any other questions or comments from the commission or Mary? And
Legit for me.
okay, so one thing I'm hearing is we need to continue this. And Mary, what's on the checklist for the engineer to do in the meantime?
Well, we have the updated version controls, right? There's a few updates to the O&M plan that I put in my.
Okay,
It was just
very good.
minor things.
Okay.
And then. Yeah, what do you guys think about no storage along the signs along this western edge?
There are none, you saw that there weren't?
I don't think there are any, there are some along.
I don't
this
remember
one.
thinking about it.
Yeah, I think where he proposed to put it in front was a good idea.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, obviously, it's just on the, they may need to store snow on this side, but just keeping it away from the wetland. On that.
There's a retaining wall here so that they won't be pushing it in this direction. So I don't know what's been done in the past. Honestly, they probably just pushed it to the rear back there.
Yeah, I think that's what they do on the other side too.
Yeah, the other side, is that the property line right up against
It
the?
is the practice.
Yeah, that's a problem.
Yeah, so
Push it right to the rear, I think.
maybe it won't snow again.
And also we need the green hearts.
Yes.
Right.
So any other comments from the commission or Mary or the applicant's engineer?
So, you've been before the planning board or? when are you-
Yeah, I have not, but John has, and basically it was just to set up the meeting.
So when are you gonna meet with in January?
We met with them once and I guess they sent the materials, like you said, I forgot. I got confused, but anyways, they sent it out for review for. So I don't know when that meeting is.
Such as, well, we plan a meeting, the first meeting in January, but if you don't have the engineering review,
Yeah,
we just shift it to the second meeting.
I understand, sure, that makes
Yeah, right.
sense, sure.
Okay. But we even have the DP number.
So
Usually it takes 3 weeks, at least.
our first meeting is on the 8th. And we can probably continue this until about 7:30, unless,
Sure, 7:30 is fine.
so we have a motion.
I need to have anything back to you, Mary.
So can we have a motion from the commission to continue this hearing?
I won't be on the first. Won't deliver it on the first of January.
Okay, yeah. You can do the second if you want.
Thank you.
That's fine.
So,
Second.
Okay, let's do a voice vote. First, aye.
I.
Alan, I.
Marcella, I.
So a unanimous vote of the commission to continue this hearing until January 8th at 7:30.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank- Okay, so Mary, how about your administrative report?
We need to move on to Kahana's speech because they're waiting to talk.
Oh, okay,
I guess I should have given them a name time, but we didn't. For Kahana's, we have
so Peter, are you here for 18 Quanah?
Yes, I am.
So what's the update?
So the update is Mary Ann DePinto had gone out to the site. She did an inventory of the trees. And I think she also came up with an estimate on the restoration that I emailed Mary. I know Mary had talked to Marcelo. I think Marcelo is on also. So far, we went out and we staked that boulder wall location that we proposed at the last meeting. So that is staked. And I think Marcelo could talk about, what he's done so far. I think he wants to remove the grass out of that area as well as the irrigation. There was some irrigation, so he wants to remove all that. I know we staked the bounds. The commission wanted some additional bounds that we staked, as well as the wall. And then I think, he would like to post a bond so he could get his occupancy permit for the work, and also for a bond for just to make sure that the vegetation that he plants, is viable. So that's what's happened so far. No changes to the plan. It's just more of, Mary wanted inventory of what was cut And I think Mary Ann submitted that to her, or she talked to Mary.
Thank you. So
Can
How
anyone
much
hear me?
bond, how much of a bond is proposed?
Okay.
Size?
I think he wanted to propose one bond for the work, which was, I want to say $2,000, and then the second portion was going to be another 2,000 for just to make sure that the vegetation, you know, grows and it works. So I think a total of 4.
So Marcel, you have something
Seems a little
else?
low.
Can anyone hear me?
Yes.
Oh, okay, all right.
Yeah, that seems much too low. $4,000 total for both bonds. If it's a 2-year, it's gonna be, the vegetation has to be monitored for 2 years. Things have to be replaced if they die. I don't think $2,000 is enough.
How much would you propose?
Well, I'm not sure. I'd be closer to 10,000 than 2, but I don't know. I mean, I'm not sure, but I'm pretty sure that $2,000 would not be enough, especially if we had a very dry year. Whatever. I mean, I don't think 2,000 is enough. That's my opinion. Others may disagree with me, and that's okay.
So essentially, I based that proposed on how much it would cost to buy all the plants to replicate the area and a labor cost to do the work. So in fact, that amount it's enough to do the work twice, as I have an estimate from a landscaper. But I'm willing to compromise here, and why don't we say if we go to 3,500, the first bond, or 4, which is the majority of the work to be done and inspected, and we do 2,000 for the second bond, which can only be obtained back after the 2 years in the COC being issued.
That's better for me.
Mary,
I'm-
Mary, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think that sounds more, I thought it was a little low too. I think this sounds better to me. It gives some wiggle room in case something happens. In case that, well, and that's the thing, Marcel, you're kind of dependent on the homeowner to be watering these plants and stuff, because if they all die, then it all has to be replanted, and then that would be a huge cost. So I think that's one of the concerns.
Correct.
Marcelo, will you have some kind of an agreement with the homeowner that allows you to maintain this vegetation?
I can't, and they'll be more than willing to enter that agreement with me, and we can present it to the town. It so happens that I sold that house to a longtime friend. We're friends for over 20 years, and they fell in love with the house. So there will be no shortage of me going there to make sure that thing gets water and everything else. Because, like I said, we're constantly on each other's house. Unfortunately, he couldn't be here to this meeting. He wanted to, well, they wanted to, but we can enter in a sort of agreement for them to water and make sure the plants don't die.
Yeah, I would have liked to have spoke to the people that are gonna live in there, but I get it, that's fine. But I think it would have been better if they were here.
Well, we're not done with this. They can still come to another meeting.
Right. Right now, we're just trying to post the bond, if you guys are all in favor, to get the CO. They're hoping to close in the 27th of December, and we can be back with the meeting of January, which by then I hope to have the boulder wall, all the bounds the boulder wall installed, the bounds also installed,
and get rid of all of the the grass as well as the irrigation out of those areas.
So you can't get that done before the closing?
I could, yes, I can do those things before the closing. Matter of fact, I would like to start tomorrow. I think the ground is too wet for me to do tomorrow, but as soon as it gets a little bit sturdier, we're gonna start that process of doing all of that, which you can inspect. Meanwhile, we can, draft the bond, I'll post the bond, and if we can get a CO, let's say mid next week would be great for me, for them to close, I suppose.
Yeah, and for the bond, I did look into it. The town is able to hold that, so we may want to hold that.
At the town hall.
Yeah, instead of, I was thinking, sometimes it's part of the closing and stuff like that, but I think it might be appropriate for the town to hold it in this situation, if you're okay with that.
I am okay with that. So in other words, I'll write a check to the town of Upton for 4,000 for now, and then once we get to, for you to inspect what we has completed, and I'll post the second bond, and we go for next well, I don't know if we're gonna meet up. We're gonna have to come to the next meeting, because I can't really do the plants until spring. Otherwise, they're completely dead. So I don't know if we want to wait for the spring meeting, but I can definitely do the work before the closing and have you inspected it.
Well,
Yeah, go ahead.
why wouldn't, so we're talking about a $6,000 bond, right?
Right,
Why just the entire bond now,
right,
and then you get 4,000 back when
yeah,
the restoration is done, basically, and
Yeah.
then 2,000 back in 2 years, hopefully, when the
Yeah.
vegetation is acceptable.
Right.
Correct.
So do you have a problem just writing the town a check for $6,000, basically, right away?
Sure.
And then that would be,
Yeah, I'll just do, I thought I needed to write 2 checks, but if one check is suffice, I'll write a check for $6,000 tomorrow. So that part gets done, and like I said, as soon as the weather gets a little better, I'll start the work to create the boulder wall, install the bounds, and have Mary come out and take a look at what we're doing.
great, yeah, I think that's okay, and the other thing we talked about, I talked about with Peter, is because there's a change in plans, you guys are gonna need to file for an amended order of conditions, and that's why you would end up being on the next meeting, and that doesn't really affect the sale of the house, it's more of a procedural to make sure that everything's up to date. And we may put some conditions on the, I think we're gonna be writing up some conditions for the bond release, I guess, that makes sense. Similar to what's in the order, but there may be just a few, just to spell things out. Just thinking here.
Okay, well, Peter, we know what to do, so we need to prepare for the next meeting for the amendment to the order of condition of the existing order of conditions.
Okay, yep.
So we just need a letter, and I think whatever the fees are.
And what about the fines? What if we come?
Oh, yes, and then the fines, there's the fines too. So,
Well, I think I'm writing 2 checks to the town, one for $1,500 for the fines and one for $6,000 for the bond. Am I right?
yeah, I think if you want me to figure, I think the commission would have to agree on, a date of because I think we said until an acceptable plan is.
1,500 is fine.
Or 1,500, that was the max fine.
Yeah, that's all good.
If you want me to see if it would have been lower than the 1,500, I don't know that it would have been though. 1,500, anyway, whatever. But yeah, 1,500 is fine. Yeah, I will.
We'll define a time for you to have a hearing for amended those intent.
and the amended notice will include a plan showing, boulder barrier and basically.
Great. Peter, is that on your current plan? Maybe we should bring that up.
I think it is on, it's the limit of that new line, but I can submit a plan that shows, you know, specifically the boulder wall and the additional bounds, and I can explain it in the
Please.
letter. So it's the green line, basically. That green line is the new limit of disturbance, which is the boulder wall. So they're gonna, you know, they're gonna construct the boulder wall along that green line and put the additional bounds along that line. I think it comes out to like 8 bounds
Correct.
total.
Yeah, I think we discussed, you know, bounds kind of in between the boulders.
Correct. Yep.
And there'll be just a small opening where we have that path to
Yep.
the dock.
Yeah,
And I think that the amended plan won't have the color. It'll just show the proposed wall and then, you know, the new path in the bounds. And I'll just explain that in a letter to the commission.
kind of like an as-built. I mean, that's when we come
Correct.
to getting a certificate of compliance, we're looking for an as-built showing the bounds and the boulder wall, et cetera.
Correct. Yep. And then we'll do an as-built once everything's done, and then we'll submit that to the commission. Once he finishes all that work, we'll submit that as-built with the new boulder wall and the bounds.
And I think for the bounds, there will be 8 medallions that would need to be purchased, put on the bounds.
Correct.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think at the last meeting, we had kind of talked around the conceptual concept of the boulder wall, but I don't think we ever voted on it, right? So we may wanna,
I thought we did.
did we?
I.
You felt like?
Maybe.
I think,
What's that?
Well, I guess maybe we could, have another motion.
A motion to vote on the boulder wall.
But also the bond,
and the bond, yeah, $6,000 bond.
yeah.
$6,000 bond.
Mayor, do you want to write out a motion? For this? So, have it memorialized.
So, motion to approve boulder. And then the size of the boulders is gonna be, what did we say? There was like, are we talking about 2 foot by 2 foot or something, or?
You couldn't move them by hand.
Right.
I thought it was like 3 feet by 4 by 4, I couldn't remember, but I mean, it doesn't have to be exact, it just
Well,
has to be so that people can't move it without heavy equipment.
Peter, do you have a size in mind for the boulders?
I would say probably like, you know, 3 by 3 or 4 by 4. Those are decent sized rocks that you can't move without a machine. So that's what I would suggest that. And then we're gonna have those bounds in between some of the rocks, so you know that'll stick out.
all right.
In terms of the boulders on center, what's the distance you're proposing?
Well,
I didn't think you wanted you didn't want space enough for someone to walk by. That's what I thought.
Yeah.
So I would say probably, I don't know, 12 feet on center or 10 feet on center, because they're 4 feet wide. So there's only like a 2 foot space between them. So you could do 10 foot on center.
I'm fine with that.
Sounds okay.
Okay, so motion to approve boulder wall of 3 by 4 or 4 by 5 boulders with 8 bounds in between the rocks. Boulders,
10 foot centers.
you mean 10,
10 foot on the south.
10 foot, look at 10 foot on center, with a 2 foot space between them, approximate 2 foot space between them, or a 2
No, it's
foot.
just.
I would just say 10 foot on center.
10 foot on the south.
10 foot on center.
Those rocks might be bigger or something.
Okay. 10 foot on center. $6,000 bond to be paid to the commission, consisting of 4,000 to be released once plantings are installed and approved in the spring. And 2,000 to be released when a certificate of compliance is approved in 2 years.
And then,
That's really good, thank you.
and then we don't. have to
15,000.
Yeah.
And
15,000.
1,500, yeah, 1,500 fine to be paid.
Pay to conservate,
Paid to the town. Yeah.
I don't know, I honestly don't know.
What fund would put that in, we'll figure that out later.
It would probably go into one of the wetlands zones,
Yeah,
either by law.
and okay. And then, so I think in terms of lifting the enforcement order will probably stay in place until the restoration area is planted. Or I think that would make sense, and then we could release that, but the certificate of compliance won't be given until 2 years later.
Yep.
Good. And do we need Russell to do an amended notice of intent?
Yes, he needs a amended order of conditions.
So do you think the 8th of January would be enough time? to do that?
Yes, no, that's fine. It's just writing a letter and cleaning up the plan.
Okay.
That should be
Yeah.
fine.
Or 8 o'clock?
All right, so we have that motion kind of stated. You guys want to vote on it?
Okay, let's have a second for that motion.
Second,
Okay, let's do a voice vote. Press I.
I.
Micah,
Marcella, I.
That's a majority of the commission.
Okay,
Yeah.
All right, so one question here, so once I posted that bond, to which department do I bring the checks? One question, and two, when will the conservation allows the building department to issue the CO for the house?
I guess I'd like to see the boulders in place.
Yeah, we have to wait, we have to see that it's done.
Yeah, before they release the occupancy. That's what I would like to see.
Yeah.
But
I'd like to see the work get.
Okay. And where do I bring the check to the?
Conservation office, yep.
Okay.
You can leave it with the building department, they'll get it to me if I'm not there.
Sounds good.
And then, just, call me when you've got the boulders in, I'll come out and take a look at it. And obviously that area beyond the boulders, have you pulled the grass out there yet, or no?
No, it was just too wet, for the past few days that I was trying to get a machine down there. I just didn't want to make more of a mess than,
Right.
solve an issue.
Right, so yeah, once in that, you'll clear that grass out, the grass and the boulders, I think, before
Yeah, obviously, the irrigation system. has to
the
be up.
irrigation system out too, like we had just discussed. So before we release that occupancy, we'd like to see the boulders and the bounds in, the grass out, and the irrigation system out. And I don't know if we need, I guess it may be okay, be nice to spread straw on that area for the winter. And you have that erosion control up there, just keep that up where it is for now.
Okay, and do the straw water rules before after the boulder wall, I suppose.
I don't think you need to put any other wattles up for now. Once we do the restoration in the spring, I think we still, what you have there is good.
Okay.
Because the boulders will act as the limit of work, right? And then the wattles are just to prevent erosion. And once you have everything planted in the spring and things are kind of stabilized, maybe middle of the summer, maybe those can come down, because I know for the homeowner, it's probably gonna be like, I don't wanna look at those anymore. But leave them up probably at least till midsummer, till everything's stable. And then and give me a call before they come out.
Oh, yeah, okay, sounds good.
So any other questions or comments? So we're looking at January 8th at 8 p.m.
Okay.
Well, thank you for all the information.
Okay,
And
thank you.
have a good holiday.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye.
All right, thank you, good night.
Okay, now I think we have the administrative report.
I noticed we have a few people online. I don't know if they are here for a reason. We have Scott Goddard and yes, allowed to talk.
Oh, okay. So
Yeah.
Scott, welcome. What would you like to say? I see you have your hand up.
Yeah, good evening. Can you hear me all?
Yes.
Hey, perfect. So Scott Goddard, Goddard Consulting. How everybody doing this evening? I'm here with Mark Wombolt, and he was asked to attend the meeting this evening by Mary to discuss his property on Route 140. There was some questions about some clearing of trees and such. I don't believe there's been any administrative action taken, but there was a request to come in for a discussion. So Mark is on the call as well, and I'm here as well to engage in a brief discussion of this property with the commission.
Great, yeah, so this was, last week I put a stop work on 41 Milford across from the gas station because of extensive grading work and fill in the area. And I do have a few pictures in my agent report. Scott, maybe did you have any pictures or anything you wanted to present on this?
Maybe Mary, it's probably best you go first.
Okay.
I haven't actually been to the site myself. I just engaged with Mr. Wombolt on this yesterday, so I wanted to, yep, go ahead.
Thank you for coming to the meeting. And Mark, I'm sorry, I forgot your last name, so I was not connecting the dots as to what this was for. Okay. Oops. So I think most of you remember this is an interesting site. Work had been proposed here many years ago when they did when they did the sewer line for the Governor's Landing. There was a notice of intent which showed wetlands on this property, a delineated wetland, and I did look at it at the time and confirmed that it was an isolated wetland. Here's kind of pictures of the work that was done. Pretty extensive clearing and grading all in here. And this is you're looking at toward the wetland area. I think back here may not be wetland, or what was wetland. If you look here in this picture, this is a house across 140. This is the same picture last January where it's undisturbed before the work was done. Here you see a clump of Phragmites. This whole area in here was in the wetland delineation. So
I-
there-
Kind of blew it up, look, maybe there was juncus there.
Yeah.
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 Mhm.
Yeah, of course, it was, when I looked at it last winter, I wasn't analyzing the soils,
Sure.
but there are definitely wetland plants in the whole area. It is isolated, and I know in the report, I think they mentioned that they were wondering if it was a constructed wetland initially, and there are also, one of the town residents said it maybe used to be a cranberry bog or something, that's what's.
Yeah, so subject to the bylaw.
Yes, it's subject to the bylaw. Because it's a commercial property and there's no buildings on it.
So the bylaw protects isolated wetlands, just so you know. Scott.
Yes.
Yep, understood.
Yeah, so, and I don't know how much, Mark, it looks like it could be a foot or two of fill in there potentially, I'm not sure. What the neighbor said, the work had been going on for about a week when I finally got there.
Can I ask a question? Did you bring Phil onto the property or did you just
Use what was there.
use what was there and do some regrading?
So I can address a little bit of some of the issues that maybe I can shed a little bit of light, and then Mr. Wamball could jump in here as well. So the only thing I have done to date was I've done a sort of a paper trail review of this. I haven't been to the site, so Mary has that benefit over me. I have been engaged by Mr. Wamball to go out and do a review of the property, and I'm sure we'll be reporting back to the commission. So the history, as I understand it, was that in and around 2007, there was a notice of intent and submitted to the Conservation Commission. I believe that Mary could maybe correct me if it was all the way approved through, but there was a site plan that was in existence since 2007, showing either no wetlands on the site, or maybe it's just in the far back kind of corner of the site, but nowhere is near the front of the site or where this site alteration took place. So based on that old permit and site plan done by Peter Bemis's group out of Southborough, it showed no wetlands in this area. So he was under the operating assumption that there was not a wetland in the area where the site work was. Also, with respect to the recent notice of intent that was done earlier in 2024 by Ty and Bond for the sewer extension that ran down this section of street, it showed a couple of dots that some presumptively employee, associate, or of Ty and Bond identified a feature on this site that was shown on a site plan. So, typically, when I determine presence of wetlands or presumptive wetlands on abutting properties to where I work, they're never, and this DEP has kind of found this to be the case in their practices. Those aren't binding determinations on other people's property. So I understand that Ty and Bond, saw something out here. I didn't see it. Maybe Mary had a chance to walk it when the sewer line was proposed, but and I presume that's what that picture that was displayed with the Phragmites and such came from, because it seemed to be about the same date, January of 04. So again, that said, the finding of Ty and Bond wouldn't be presumptive on what's true and present on the site. And I understand that there was something out there that they saw and identified, but the reason that Mr. Wamball proceeded on the site was because of a previous determination that was made some years ago on a surveyed site plan. So it wasn't just irresponsible or willy-nilly. It was done with sort of foresight and forethought to be considerate of not going into identified and unknown wetland areas. That said, my intention and my request of Mr. Wamball is to visit the site, do a field delineation of wetland resource areas on the site, and I would expect that we'll probably file either an ANRAD or an RDA or something of that nature with the commission to determine if there are any wetland resource areas on or within 100 feet of the site, so that jurisdiction can be properly established out here. And if there was a feature that was altered perhaps by this activity, that's something that needs to be, vetted, and we can look through during the a hearing or public review process of a delineation. But I think it makes sense to get my eyes on the site, render a professional opinion, and put that opinion before the commission so that we can kind of all understand what we're dealing with here.
Scott, would your activities include attempting to look at the soils that are underneath the disturbed filled areas?
I think that makes sense. And if this machine that's showing the picture here is on site, that shouldn't be too hard to do. So that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, I would appreciate it if you did that as part of your report.
Yeah, it's got just, and that picture was from January of 24, and I have a bunch of other.
And that looked to me about the date that the tie and bond notice of intent for the sewer line was filed. So I'm guessing that was either part of their application or taken by the commission as part of the review of the application.
Yeah, I can get you my review from that.
Okay. And so Mary, you had eyes on this area, right, prior to all this work. Is that fair to say?
Yes, I went there in January, and then there's actually another little tiny isolated depression, which I don't think he disturbed. And even when tie and bond, most of the flags have been removed. Actually, that was one of my concerns with their filing.
Did tie and bond actually flag?
It was flagged. It was flagged, but not all the flags were there. There were flags. Yeah, they flagged it. Yeah.
Yeah, well, it seems to me, it's a little unusual because tie and bond didn't receive permission from Mr. Wumble to visit the site at the time. So for them to go on the property and make that finding would be a bit unusual. If they suspected there was something from an offsite visual inspection, they could have depicted that. Or if, for example, Mass Mapper had something. Mary, were you able to review by chance the filings to see if there was an order of conditions issued back in round about 07, 08 on this, showing a wetland boundary that was reviewed by the commission?
Yeah, I hadn't. This is in the basement, so I didn't get time to.
Okay. Yeah, I think that would be good. In fact, if you're able to do a bit of a file review, I may swing by your office and just take a look at the record there to see, because it would be helpful to know if there was a decision made by the commission as to the actual presence of wetlands or location in 07, 08.
I think it's fine to review the file, but I'm not sure how relevant that information is. If it's, 15 years or more ago, site conditions could have changed. There could have been an error back then. I think we need to really go forward based on, the information that we have before us right now, which would include, Scott, whatever findings you come up with when you do your work out there. And then the tie and bond, if they actually flagged wetlands, I think that's pretty significant. And can I ask Mary, what color flags did they have? Blue flags? Remember? Yeah, and are there any flags still out there? It sounds like some have been removed.
I'm sorry, I should.
But I'm just curious, if any of the flags are still out there.
There had been a few. There were still a few flags out there. Yeah, and I don't remember what color. I think they might have been pink actually.
Okay. Okay. But anyway, I'm the 2007 or whatever information is interesting, but not relevant to, I think, our current decisions that we have to. That's my opinion.
Okay, Mark, you've been trying to talk. You're allowed to talk.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hello?
Yeah, we can hear you. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know why, but it wasn't working. Yeah, basically, I'm gonna have Scott come out, but we had an order of conditions 2008 through 2013 that showed 0 wetlands on that property except in the far right corner. There was nothing out towards the street. And as I told you, we were harvesting a bunch of trees and transplanting them onto another job site. And that's primarily what we've been doing out there. But after you stopped by and we had our phone conversation, I called Mr. Goddard, and he's gonna go in and we'll meet out there and do what we need to do. But you do have an order of conditions. I had a foundation permit for 8 condo units on that property. Back in 2008, I had a foundation permit from the building department. So that entire property was stripped and cleared in preparation for that job, which when the 2008 crash occurred, we did not go forward with it. And now we're just harvesting trees, and nothing's been done since that time on that property until just now.
Mark, this is Chris. I have a question. Did any of your permits from 2008 get extended officially?
I think there's one, and it's expired by now, and I think that when I was briefly looking at it, there's also an enforcement order for that property, I believe, but I didn't get that far into the history of it.
Yeah, and there also was 2 permanent extension acts during the COVID period too. I don't know if that probably didn't hit us. I don't know how many extensions were done prior to that. It sounded like maybe it ran out in 13. So, somewhere's in there, it sounds like it probably ran out. But we can do a full file review with your office, Mary, to see what you have on file there. What year was the enforcement? You said there was an enforcement order. What year was that?
From sometime during that older time period, not recent.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm not aware of that.
Yeah, and it could be maybe it could have been the next door house or something, but I did see when I was briefed, there was some kind of enforcement. I will dig up that file from the basement and we'll get that clarified.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much, Mark. Thank you, Scott.
You're welcome. Thank you, Scott.
So just to clarify with the commission, will this be just stayed as far as future hearing dates go until you get a report from me? Does that sound reasonable?
Yeah, I think the commission needs to decide if this needs enforcement or whether we figure this is a good start, an official enforcement order or not, or wait until, he's hired Scott, which is great. And that I think is a good first.
Yeah, and Mary, we can talk offline too about the next steps after I produce a findings report. Maybe you and I do a site walk, and then you can report back to the commission, something like that.
Do you think you could have a report by the time our next meeting, which is for second
January 8th?
Is it January 2nd Wednesday in January?
Or there's another later meeting in January.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I mean for sure. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, we'll be able to report back to you in January. Yeah, for sure. We'll be able to report to you in January.
I want to get out there where the ground freezes. So
yeah, no, yeah. I mean, when you have a site that's been has fresh soil, has exposed like this, if we get strong freeze conditions, especially after a rain like we're having now, it can quickly turn to ice and be problematic. But as long as we have a thaw and we're able to see what's going on, then we should be in good shape. So, but I'll either whatever the finding is, even if it results in waiting until springtime, well, I mean, we'll report back to Mary and figure out what makes sense.
Mary, this is Chris. I would suggest that the commission issues a letter that just states this is where we are now and what was found to start the paperwork.
Yeah. That's a good idea.
Do you want to take a motion? Make a motion for that. So my motion was that Mary issue a letter about the situation at 41 Main Street that's being investigated. And has, okay, and how about to a voice vote? Chris, aye.
Aye.
Michael.
Marcella, aye.
Alan,
Okay. Thank you. That's a unanimous vote of the members present. And Mark, what we can do is put you on the agenda as soon as we hear more information, which hopefully would be January 8th or the next meeting after that.
That sounds good. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, bye-bye.
Okay, bye. Okay, so Mary, what's next?
What's next?
How about the administrative report? We have minutes from October 23rd.
Yeah, there's no minutes.
Okay.
I do my administrator's report though.
Okay.
Okay, just some follow-up notes. I have reached out to 154 West River, if you remember this complaint about manure piles. A couple weeks ago, no response. I followed up again today. Hopefully I'll get her. I just emailed her, hopefully get a response. And then we can move forward with that. On Dogwood Drive, the Eastland letter provided a draft, or the Eastland lawyer provided a draft easement, which I did email out. And I'm still waiting to talk to our lawyer. I have a call into her to see what her comments were about it.
And I had communicated with Mary that we needed to have ability to maintain the trail. And so I think I gave you like the Chestnut Street
Yes.
easement, trail easement. So I would just ask that, hopefully town council will have the same opinion.
Right.
That we need to upgrade what was given us to include.
Yeah, what she,
Ability, basically the ability to maintain the trail without approval from Dogwood Drive. That sort of thing.
right, I think what she had said was very basic, just trail access or something very simple, but needed a little bit to be a little bit more robust. This is 30 to 32 Mendon, and I guess I should drive by there. I know he's done a little bit of clearing. See how much more he's gotten done. He's hoping to start 66 High Street. This was a septic, work is done, hopefully in the rain, all that soil did not wash away. Rockwood Lane, granted permission to remove 2 trees outside, this is outside of the CR and outside of the wetland limit. But still within 100 feet of the wetland. So these 2 trees, both relatively close to the house. Just reports on things under construction. Here's the kind of the bound line for Kiwanis Beach. We talked about this, so that's everything. Everything from my administrator's report.
Excellent. Thank you, Mary. And how about the administrative report?
Oh, yeah, I do have for Tom and Mike, there's a bunch of documents to sign. And probably I'll need people to come in, or we can drive stuff to Chris. We'll need a few more signatures, at least 4. And there's 1 expense voucher, which is just my mileage.
Do we have a motion to pay Mary's mileage?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Sue Boyce, Chris, I.
I.
Micah.
Alan, I.
Marcella, I.
Excellent. Yes, for the commission.
That's those things we need to,
And Mary, do you have financial update?
Yeah, I did do an updated thing if you guys want to look at it. So it's 4 documents. The only change would have been the $25, but I will pull it up to the screen. And actually, Mike, I haven't paid the guy for the Mechanic Street boardwalks yet because he hasn't started, right?
No, that's fine.
Yeah, so I have that voucher ready to go, but it's not done. And other than that, those are our totals. Anyone has any questions about the money?
Thank you. That looks great. Mary, I do have a question. Has the town received any more applications for Grace's position?
No. We do have a, someone who might be interested in the empty Conservation Commission slot, though. They reached out to, initially about open space, and Sue said, open space is full. And so how about conservation? And so she said, yes. So I'm gonna, this happened today, so I haven't had a chance to contact her.
Right?
No, this is a younger, I assume a young person named, I think it was Ashley Flaherty.
Oh, excellent.
And then but Jack Herondine had also said he was interested.
Oh, that's.
And he never followed through, according to Sue. So if anyone knows him, I mean, either I'm sure would be fine, but those are, people need to follow through.
I'm a little confused here, so I've got some for 49.
So yeah, we're gonna do that. We still need to talk about that. Certificate
Not
of
that-
compliance.
But then I have this one here.
Is that South Street?
Yes,
Yeah, so that's the order of conditions for 169 South Street.
okay, so we don't have to do that.
Yeah, you know, you should do that.
I must,
Yeah,
I signed, but.
you signed the front page.
Did I have it?
You had it.
Trying to figure out.
Yeah, no, I just had that. Is there another signature?
Right
page?
behind it, yeah. Right behind
Use mine. That one's good.
it. Okay, so we're good.
You were good on that one. And then, yeah, I think you probably had to wade into the 49 to find the signature page on that.
Okay, there's one in here. Right?
Yeah, it's last page.
Oh, down here, signatures.
Yes.
Are we good for open space now?
Yes.
Okay, Bill, open space.
I have one thing to report. We're working on soliciting quotes for the appraisal of the Machi property. And that's the land off of North Street and Fay Mountain Road. And we're doing that in connection with Metacomet's request for the appraisal on the Forest Heights land. All of the other projects, there's been no movement.
Excellent. Thank you. Any questions for Bill? And land stewardship.
We've got a work date on Sunday rather.
Excellent. Any questions for Marcella? And with discussion items, we have down Warren Brook, Wetland Friendly.
Yeah. Harry, could you call up the,
Yes, and Chris, remember to do the certificate of compliance. We're gonna do that too, but we can do this first.
do that first.
Okay. I need to issue a certificate of compliance for 49 Warren Street 311-073773. You have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Okay, let's do a voice vote. First, I.
I.
Ellen,
Okay.
Marcella, I.
Excellent. That's a unanimous vote of the commission. Okay.
I'm sorry, motion that one, wasn't paying attention.
Now, Warrenbrook. Wetland.
Tom made it, second.
Okay,
Interested in conservation, which I kind of missed.
Jack Herendine and Ashley Flaherty. Ashley might be a young person.
I don't know anything. I was just curious.
Yeah. Okay, let me pull up the wetland fragment now.
Maybe blow it up just a bit. Especially show the top.
So where is this one?
Okay, I'll.
Is that good?
Okay, I guess this is okay. Okay, this is, Warrenbrook kind of flows through the center of this. Mechanic Street is to the bottom. Fowler Street can marry.
Oh, that's the island in the middle there.
Yeah, Fowler Street.
Sandy's house.
That's Mechanic. Fowler goes right by the red circle.
Yeah.
You kind of follow it.
Uh,
Okay, so this
So
is,
this is Sandy's house here.
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
So most of this is the Robertson Conservation Restriction, not all of it, but at least the land north of Warrenbrook. No, wait, no, what direction is that? East of Warrenbrook is part of the CR, the Robertson CR. Some of this area is actually town land, and some of it is owned by the people. And what I noticed when I drove by Fowler Street, the red circle, that's a patch of phragmites. Not very big, but it's there. And then I took a look at the imagery, and it's possible that the pink circle is also phragmites. But I'm really not, you'd have to field verify that. So I guess where I'm headed here is that, again, this whole area is beaver impacted. The trees are gone or have died. Still some standing dead. And my concern is that eventually Phragmites will expand into this wetland. Phragmites can typically expand a few meters a year through rhizomes. The time to catch it before it impacts this wetland would be now. There's a small stand or maybe two small stands present, or maybe more. And I just want to get the commission's sense of this. Now, this is private property. It's owned by the Robertson family. But it's protected with a CR that is held by the town and DCR. So to some extent, we have an interest in the property. So I'm just wondering if the commission would consider reaching out to Robertson's and finding some way to pay a contractor to take out the Phragmites, which would be glyphosate herbicide, which is very Phragmites is very susceptible to glyphosate. It probably would be like a 3-year project. The first year to spray the stand, and then coming back with standard stands, and then come back and just do mop-up work for a couple of years. You should be able to totally eradicate the frag within 3 years. So that's and in terms of cost, I was thinking perhaps $7,500 would be, a good upper bound of the cost.
What was that again, Mike?
I
Cost?
was thinking, thinking $7,500 should be a pretty conservative upper bound.
For the
Uh,
entire process, the 3 years of,
Yeah, that's the thought. They'd, they'd come back for, they spray it the first year, then come back to mop up. It's unlikely they would completely eradicate it after the first year. And it's based on my experience when I was working, I was dealing with Phragmites in large restoration areas. My experience, you can't knock it out the first year, typically. Takes some additional work. But the question is, I mean, is the commission interested in, contacting the Robertsons to see if they're interested in somehow, participating in this? It's their property. Funding sources, there could possibly be some grants, and also CPA funds, potential. I would need to contact the town manager, and might need a town council opinion whether or not, say, CPA funds could be expended here. I think they could. I'm thinking there have been some CPA funded projects that aren't on town property. For example, the recent Grange. It's owned by a nonprofit, but the town expended funds to rehabilitate the Grange building. I just don't know. I just, looking for a sense of whether we should try to get more information and pursue this or not. That's my first question to the commission.
There's $40,000 sitting in Upton Fund.
Yeah, I don't think we could use that. That's more for, but I was thinking possibly CPA. Might be straightforward, if it was a legitimate use. And if anybody wants to see what Phragmites can do, Route 9 in Westboro, if it's kind of roughly across from where the old theater was.
Right.
There used to be an Enterprise car dealership, if you remember where that was. Enterprise Rent-A-Car. Next to Enterprise. I've just been watching for probably 15 years Phragmites encroach upon this large emergent wetland. And it's probably a third of the way across at this point. And then the other example we have is what's been happening at Upland State Forest property along the West River. The beaver activity wiped out the canopy trees, and Phragmites is just expanding into the opportunity that exists there for it. So,
Do we have more discussion of the topic?
Yeah, this is Bill. Actually, the SISMA small grant would cover a project like this. We just have to apply by December 20.
yeah, yes, I'm aware of that. I think we'd have to ask. This isn't the Blackstone watershed.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Sorry.
Yeah. But Upton is a net well, which supposedly we should be a member of it now, SISMA, but I'm not
Worth
sure.
exploring.
It's worth exploring. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
just looking at the big picture, long term, like what if we do this 3-year thing? What's it going to look like 10 years out? Are we going to be back at this point?
Well, Phragmites is very susceptible to glyphosate. I think we could eradicate any of these small stands that we find. Now, would Phragmites, 10 years from now, would there be another stand? That's possible.
I just have mixed feelings about dealing with invasives. They're just I'm tired of fighting them.
Yeah, I
so-
hear you, but early intervention can work. You know.
But we're talking about one spot and you go 2 miles down the road and there they are again. You know, it's just focusing on certain properties or certain spots really doesn't take in the big picture of invasives in Massachusetts or throughout New England or everywhere. So
That's true, but I'm a big fan in terms of invasives of picking your battles. Like the West River, you know, the Upland State Forest property, you know, upstream of the Pleasant Street Bridge. That's pretty much hopeless in terms of Phragmites.
didn't we try something there?
No, we never did it. You know, all you can do there really is, you know, conceivably, it would be an enormous effort to try to get Phrag, to use herbicide to eradicate Phrag there. But in this case, you know, this is a place where I would pick to try to eradicate it when the stands are small, and you know, thinking that if you don't do this, what this is going to look like in, you know, 20, 30 years. I think, you know, much of this wetland could be compromised by Phragmites in a few decades. We have a chance to take care of it now. In another, when we commented on its management plan for Upton State Forest, one of my comments was keep a close eye on the bog, the South Burr Road bog. That's an area I don't believe there's any Phragmites there now, but it's certainly susceptible. So, you know, in that particular case, you know, the thing to do is to just monitor it, you know, and if there ever is an infestation, a Phrag infestation there, try to eradicate it quickly, you know. But here's a case, kind of a similar large emergent wetland right now that is at risk for an existing stance.
My other concern is glyphosate isn't exactly a harmless chemical. Introducing that is a concern.
Yeah, I mean, there are other herbicides you could use that would take out Phrag. I know glyphosate has, you know, some potential issues with it, but it does. It's effective. It very quickly binds to the soil, and it degrades fairly quickly through microbial action in the soil. It's not going to persist for very long, and it's effective. It's licensed. It's still. I know there's concerns about glyphosate, but I think most Phragmites eradication, Phragmites control, invasive species control like this is glyphosate. It's the only herbicide I ever used that's licensed for Phragmites. It's very effective.
This is Chris. I agree with pursuing getting rid of these two thoughts. Any other discussion? So Mike, what do you need?
I'm sure if I have any, what you know, what I should do next. I personally would, you know, maybe like to contact the Robertsons. I think that to see if they have any interest in control.
Mike, when do you treat if you're going?
You would be treated August, September, you know, this is time.
Well, I think it's certainly worth speaking to the Roberts.
Yeah, I mean, let's see where they stand on this.
Yeah. And then this, if they're positive, could I speak to the Community Preservation Committee about it?
Yeah, I think it's worth speaking to people about, sure. See, we have no idea really what the cost would be, but
Well, I think 7,500 would,
they're gonna be good
you know, I think.
per year.
Basically, it'd probably be, 1 day. You know, each year.
I think it's worth looking into.
Yeah, I can't object to investigating.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so we have investigate this. And we don't have to do this tonight. We have annual report is due by the end of January and the budget. 2026.
Yeah, that's high on my list of things to do. I pulled out the annual report and looked at it today, but I need to go through all the numbers. That'll be, so unfortunately, it would have been nice to have it done so you guys could read it. But I don't think it's due till after our next meeting, so.
Fine. It's just on the radar.
Yes,
And
thank you.
Mike, do you have anything else?
There is another thing, and I know it's getting kind of late, but Mary, could you call up Dogwood Drive, the other end of Dogwood Drive?
This.
Yeah, so this is the other end of Dogwood Drive from like two Dogwood. Let's see, Mary, could you flip up through the plan? I think the plan is attached to, or are they two different?
No, it should be.
Did you even see them?
Okay. This one.
Well, maybe blow it up just a bit. So we've talked about this point before. See, that is what Mary's kind of delineating is that's town land that is part of the conservation area. And then the point is right on Dogwood Drive, and this, you know, we've talked about this before. You know, can you jump across that point? Or, you know, what is the status of that? And we now have the developer who is willing to modify an easement on the other end. And to me, I think maybe this is our opportunity to try to fix this end as well. So you can see, you know, this is the plan, the recorded plan, the point is right on the Dogwood Drive footprint. If you go to the next image, you can see that now this is the near map imagery. You can see that the town land actually isn't touching the paved area, and there's that. It looks like the yeah, Mary's showing that the actual recorded plan actually, you know, extends into the front yard of this house.
It probably does. I mean, it's
Right. You know, who knows? But what I'd like to propose, I think the first thing that makes sense here, and I think we should act pretty quickly because we have a developer who seems to be helpful here, is to actually hire a surveyor to find that point. Actually, finding probably 3 points at least. You know, we also probably every corner that's shown here should be located. They're not currently located in the field, I believe. So, so I'd like to make a motion to hire a surveyor to go out and locate those 3 points.
Yeah.
That one, and maybe even the back one.
4 points.
Yeah, the one that's up further.
Way up, Mary.
Way up, yeah.
Way up.
This one here.
That one, yeah.
Wait a second.
That one should be bound, it must be bound.
Unless it's bound, yeah.
Well, there's a bound close by, I agree.
Oh, if it's bounded, okay, then you don't need it.
Right, yeah, because there
But
are
the,
bounds.
but those three are not bounded,
Yeah.
those three ones. And then start there and see what we've got in the field.
Wait a second. Motion. I second the motion. Let's do a voice vote. Press the I.
Micah,
Marcella, I.
we need to cap the cost. Maybe,
Well, can we see what the cost is, like if it's at.
okay, so, maybe a friendly amendment that. The motion is to obtain cost estimate to. Install 3 bounds or to locate.
The mark.
Locate and mark 3 corners. Whatever.
Let's do a
It's
second.
a lot 25. Godwin Drive.
20. Not 28.
Well,
It
Oh,
might
so it's
be-
lot 25,
It
but
might
number
be, it might be
28.
street number 28.
yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
there you go, yeah.
it says lot 25. Could you reread them?
Let's see. Motion to hire a surveyor to obtain cost estimates to locate and mark 3 corners, which I still have in my head.
Okay.
No, I mean, I have that written down, but the corner, which corners it was, it's like
Yeah.
corners, I'll say corners adjacent to the point.
Okay, do we have a second?
Second,
Okay, let's do a voice vote. Press the I.
Micah,
Marcella, I.
Is Ellen still here? So we have a majority of the Conservation Commission voting to.
Okay.
Okay, now Mike, you're in Santa Claus, right?
pardon?
You're in Santa Claus, right?
Yes, I am, yeah. I am.
You got the white beard.
Mary, thank you for all you do for this crazy bunch of people.
Thank you, guys. Thank
Thank
you.
you, Maris.
It's a privilege to work here. With my 5-minute commute.
May not pay as well,
Really
but,
thought that.
No, it pays the same.
oh, okay.
So, do you have anything else for tonight?
Very fortunate for all you do for us.
Nothing for me. I think we're good. I think we all wanna go home.
Okay,
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second,
okay, all in favor?
aye.
Aye.
Have a nice holiday. We'll see
Yeah,
you
good
next.
night.
Thank you.